evening, everybody. Am I audible to everyone? Good evening, everybody. Yes, Bhavani, good evening. Kaveri, good evening. Ganesh, good evening. Am I audible to everyone? Yes. Good evening, Karthik. Good evening. Ish. Yeah, good evening, everybody. Am I audible? Yes. So what is Masterclass? So what we are going to see in this 30 days full stack Masterclass program? It is a 30-day industrial learning activity. Yes, good evening, everybody. Yes, it is a 30-day industrial learning activity. Every day the classes will be conducted live in the YouTube channel from 6 to 6:45 in the evening. If you invest some 45 minutes, you will become a master in Java. So I am going to discuss with you about the basic concepts of Java. What are all the different types of OOPS concepts, and I will be discussing with you about HTML, what is the use of servlets. Alright. So by the end of 30 days, you will be getting a e-certificate, webinar, e-participation certificate. So this is going to be a 30-day industrial learning activity. So every day the attendance will be posted during the live chat. You have to fill in the attendance and you have to submit the attendance every day. And what we are going to see, so this is what is going to be our agenda for the 30 days full stack masterclass program. Firstly, I am going to give an introduction to Java concepts. What are all the different types of OOPS concepts? And then I will be showing you some simple implementation examples. So what is Java? So what are all the different types of concepts? I will be showing some implementation examples. And then I will be discussing with you about HTML. What do you mean by hypertext markup language? What are all the different types of tags and attributes? What is the use of paragraphs, colors, form tags, input types available in HTML? And in the third section, I will be discussing with you about servlets. I will give a brief introduction to servlets. What do you mean by exceptions, database access? So how to access the database using the servlets. So how to process the business logic in servlets. And then I will be discussing with you about MySQL. So what do you mean by MySQL, JDBC, Java database connectivity? Alright, how to connect Java with the database. And finally, I will be discussing some applications of this Java language. How to build some projects using this Java language. Alright. So this is what we are going to see in this 30 days. Day wise, I am just giving a learning plan. So what we are going to see in this 30 days masterclass. Firstly, I am going to give an introduction to Java. What do you mean by Java? So I am going to discuss with you some basic concepts. What is the use of variables, identifiers, data types, classes and objects. And I will be discussing with you about comments. What do you mean by single line comments, multi-line comments. And what are all the different types of loops, decision making statements. And ternary operator. What is the use of ternary operator, switch statement, arrays and methods in Java. And what is the use of package, access modifiers, Java strings, string methods. 1 minute.
Screen is not available. சார் அடிக்கிறாரு ஒரே நிமிஷம்
சரி சார்
நியூஸ் மட்டும் திருப்பி பண்ணுங்க ஷேர் பண்ணுங்க.
அது ஜென்ரலாக அப்டேட் பண்ணால் தான் ஷேர் ஆகும். தெரியல. இந்த ஸ்க்ரீன் கேப்சர் திருப்பி ரிமூவ் பண்ணிட்டு பண்ணவா? ஸ்க்ரீன் கேப்சர்
ஸ்க்ரீன் 1 தான் இருக்கு. ஸ்க்ரீன் 2ல வரணும். அது இந்த ஸ்க்ரீன்ல வரணும். இப்போ கொடுங்க. இல்லை டன் கொடுக்க முடியல. இல்லை இல்லை
இதில் ஷேர் ஆகுது. யூடியூப்ல தானே ஷேர் ஆகல. தெரியல ஏன்ட்டு.
இப்போ வருது. ஓகே
சரி ஓகே. Good evening. Am I audible to everyone? My screen is visible now. Yes, I will just start. So yesterday I just gave an introduction to Java. So this is what we are going to see in this 30 days. If you are interested, you can go to Pantech e-learning and you can register for Java Full Stack Masterclass program, JFSMC. This is the coupon code. Once you register for the internship, you will be getting access to the PPTs, the recorded videos, lecture notes, how the projects are being developed. You will be gaining more practical knowledge. Once you attend this masterclass for 25 days, you will be receiving a free webinar certificate. And the internship users, they will be receiving an internship certificate as well as a participation certificate. Alright. So yesterday I just gave an introduction to Java. What are all the different components and editions of Java? And I just discussed with you about the installation procedure. So what are all the different components of Java? Please respond. What are all the different components of Java? And what are all the different editions of Java? Today I am going to discuss with you about some core Java concepts. What is the use of variables and how to declare some variables. So what do you mean by variables? So this is one important concept. So whenever I consider any type of programming language, I can go for Java language or I can go for Python or so I have different types of programming languages. I can go for, yesterday I was discussing, there are two different types of programming language. One is called as a high level programming language and one more is called as a low level programming language. Java comes under high level programming language. So we have different concepts. So what is the use of variables? Variables, they are mainly used to store some value. So whenever I am building some application, so you can imagine, so what is the use of variables? Whenever I am building some websites, firstly I need to initialize the values. For example, I need to store, I am building a website for a corporate company, employee website. So I want to know the name of the employee. So I can go for variables. They are used to store some values. The variable types, they determine the memory required to store that variable. So I can go for different memory. So different data types, integer data type, floating point type, or I can go for string data type, character data type. So they determine the memory required to store that variable. So how much memory is required to store that variable. This is the corresponding syntax for initializing a variable. Say for example, I have to give the corresponding data type. It is used to allocate memory and the data type they mention what type of value should be stored inside that variable. I am declaring a variable called count. It is of integer data type. Alright. So let me just show you a simple example. So what is the use of variables? This is one important concept in Java. So whenever I am going for any kind of programming language, I can go for Java language or I can go for Python language. This is one important concept. Yesterday I was discussing, so whenever I want to create any new project inside this is my NetBeans IDE. So already I have opened this IDE. And under this file option, so there are different options available in my IDE. I have file option, I have edit, view, navigate, source. So all these are the different options that are available in my IDE. Whenever I want to create any new project, so just go to the file option and there is an option called new project. So I can go for different types of projects. So whenever I want to create any Java project, I can go for Java FX, Java Web, Java EE. So all these are the different types of projects I can create. I can go for Java EE, Maven, samples. So I am going for this Java project. Just click the next button. And I have to give the corresponding name to my project. So whatever is the name of my project. For example, whenever I want to create a web project or I want to create some normal project. So whatever type of project I want to create, just give the project name and I have to specify the corresponding location, project location. Say for example, so under C users Lenovo, so documents I need to create this kind of project. And I need to specify the project folder. So after giving all these details, just click the finish button. So a new project has been created. You can see here whatever is the name of the, so I am just using the class keyword followed by the name of the class prepended by the corresponding access modifier. So I can go for public access modifier, private access modifier. So I can go for different types of access modifiers. So I am using the class keyword followed by the name of the class prepended by the corresponding access modifier. And inside this I am just creating a main method. Public static void main. The argument is passed as a string array. String of space args. So this is how my project structure looks like. So whatever is the name of the package, I have to give the corresponding package name. So I have to use the package keyword followed by the name of the package. And inside this I am using, so whatever is the class keyword, so I have to use the class keyword followed by the name of the class prepended by the corresponding access modifier. And inside this main method, so I am just coming here. Say for example, I am giving some message. So I was discussing about variables. So I want to declare an integer variable. Say for example, I am just declaring a variable called int count equal to 10. And system dot out dot println. Say for example, I want to print this variable. Just give the system.out.println. So whenever you are making any changes, just click the save button and right click. There is an option called run file option. Alright. So whenever I am going to run this file, you can see here. So I am just initializing a variable. So this is how. So I have to prepend with the corresponding data type. So if I want to store some integer values, or if I want to store some floating point numbers, or if I want to store some character values, so whatever is the data type, I have to prepend with the corresponding data type. I am prepending with the integer data type followed by the name of the variable. So I can go for count variable. So I can initialize some other type of variables. It is initialized with the value of 10. Clear? So what is the use of variables? They are used to allocate memory. So variables, for example, whenever I am building any kind of applications, so I am going to, finally I will be discussing, so what are all the different types of applications or projects that can be developed using this Java language. We can go for different types of programming languages, and what are all the different types of applications that can be developed using this Java language. I have to prepend with the corresponding data type. So the data type, it determines the amount of memory required to store that variable, and what type of value a variable can hold. So whether it is going to hold some integer value, whole numbers, or it is going to hold some floating point values. So I can go for different data types, or if I want to store some character constants, string value, so I have to prepend with the corresponding data type. Whichever data type, so I have to prepend with the corresponding data type. Clear? So this is one simple example of storing variables. Just take down this exercise. Write a program that stores a byte value and displays the result to the screen. Just take down this exercise. Write a program that stores a byte value and displays the result to the screen. Have you taken down? Next I am going to discuss with you about identifiers. So firstly I just gave an introduction to variables. What do you mean by variables? Next I am going to discuss with you about identifiers. What do you mean by identifiers? The variable name must be a unique name. For example, I am developing some website. Whenever I am developing a website for a corporate company, or I want to develop a website for some hospital management system, or I want to develop a website for some other organization. Say for example, I am developing a website for a restaurant. So what do you mean by this identifiers? So we are giving some unique names or specific names, a particular names. So among all those variables, I want to, for better readability, for better understandability, in order to for easier coding. Say for example, I am developing a website for a organization, corporate company. So I want to store the name of an employee name, and whatever is the designation of my employee, and what is the annual salary of my employee. So I want to store, I can go for unique names among all those variables. Identifiers, say for example, it provides some information about what that variable contains. Say for example, I am declaring a variable of type integer data type. Total sum equal to 60. So from the name of the variable, you can just understand, so what that variable holds. So it holds the total sum value. So identifier. So what do you mean by an identifier? A label or a tag kind of a thing. It is called as an identifier. From the name of the, from this label you can just understand, so what that variable is holding. So it is holding the total sum value. And similarly, I am declaring one more identifier. Say for example, in a hospital, so I want to know different patients' records in different departments. In a bigger hospital, I have different departments. I can go for a neurological department, I can go for a cardio department, gastro department. So I can go for different types of departments. So I want to know the employee patient details in different departments. So for example, inside cardio, so I am just giving the corresponding identifier. So CD underscore name. So it indicates different patient records in the cardiological department. Clear with this? So what is the use of, what do you mean by this identifiers? They are nothing but unique names, specific names. Labels for easier readability. So whenever I am developing some bigger application, so I can go for this kind of identifiers. So from the name of the variable, you can just understand what type of value that variable is holding. Say for example, I am just mentioning here as total sum. So it indicates, it holds the total sum value. It is of integer data type. Similarly, I am just giving one more variable called color equal to within double quotes. I am mentioning here as red within double quotes. So it indicates it is of string data type. Let me just illustrate. So what is the use of all these types of variables? Say for example, I am creating one more project. So under this Java application 9, I am storing some projects. Say for example, I am creating a new Java class. I am giving this as identity example. So whatever is the class name, so I have to give the corresponding class name. After giving this, I am just clicking the finish button. Alright. So inside this class, so I have just created a class called identity example. I am just creating a main method, public static void main string of space args. The argument is passed as a string array. Alright, and inside this main method, so if I want to store different type of variables, say for example identifiers, as I told you, right, I am saying int total sum. So from the name of the variable you can just understand, so it is holding the total sum value. So I am mentioning here as 100. And similarly, if I want to use a string data type, so I am just mentioning here as color. So after doing this, you can just understand system.out.println. So I am just mentioning here, so whenever I want to print the total sum value, so I am just mentioning here as total sum. After doing this coding part, just click the save button and right click. There is an option called run file option. Alright, so you can see here. So whenever from the name, what do you mean by the identifier? From the term you can just understand. So what do you mean by this identifier? Unique names or some specific names given to the variables. They are called as identifiers. From the name you can just understand. It holds the total sum value or it holds the color. So whenever I am declaring this with the string data type, it holds the color value. They are called as identifiers, unique names given to the variables for easier readability. So whenever I am building some bigger applications, for easier readability, I can go for identifiers or labels. So for example, we are having different people. So each and every person is having some unique names. Similarly, different variables, for improving the readability, I can give some specific names. They are called as identifiers. So it just identifies, from the term you can just understand. So what do you mean by an identifier? It just identifies what type of value that variable holds. Next I am going to discuss with you about different data types available in Java. So what are all the different data types available in Java? So basically I can go for different data types. I can go for an integer data type. I can go for a floating point type. So based on my requirement. So what do you mean by a data type? What type of value that variable can hold? If I want to store some whole number values, I can go for integer data type. Or if I want to store some floating point numbers, decimal point values. So whenever I am building any application, for example, I want to store the name of an employee in an e-commerce industry. You can imagine any kind of websites. You can go for Amazon, Flipkart, in an e-commerce industry, so you can go for any type of websites. Amazon, Flipkart. So I want to store the customer details. What is the name of the customer? Whether it is of string data type. So I have to mention the corresponding data type. What type of value that variable can hold. And if I want to know the name of an employee or the name of the customer, so what type of, for example, what is the purchase amount, so how much purchase he has made, and the corresponding bill amount. it can be specified by different data types. So I can mention if I want to store some whole number values, I can go for an integer data type. Or if I want to store some decimal point numbers, 0.5. For example, based on my requirement, so what type of application I am developing, so what type of value that variable should hold, accordingly I can go for different data types available in Java language. So I can go for an integer data type, or I can go for a floating point type, I can go for a character data type. So all these are the different data types available in Java. Boolean, so if I want to store some true or false value, so I can go for a Boolean value, or I can go for a string data type. Basically, there are two different data types available in Java language. So I can go for a primitive data type, or I can go for a non-primitive data type. So what are all the different primitive data types available in Java? So I can go for byte, short, integer, long. So all these are the primitive data types. And I have some non-primitive data types. So I can go for string, arrays, classes. So all this comes under non-primitive data types. So what is the use of data types? So what type of value that variable should hold? Accordingly, I can go for different data types available in Java. I will just show you a simple example. So what are all the different data types available in Java? Whenever you want to create any new class, just right click this, new. I am going to create a new Java class and I have to give the corresponding name of my class, variable example. Just click the finish button, and inside this I am creating a main method, public static void main. I am passing this string of space args. The argument is passed as a string array. Alright, and inside this I can go for different data types. Say for example, I want to store some whole number values. So I want to store the patient ID. You can just give here as patient ID equal to 100. So whatever is the patient ID, you can give the corresponding patient ID. And if I want to store the name of the patient, so I am just giving here. So whatever is the name, so you can give the corresponding name within double quotes. And what are all the other things? Say for example, I have a floating point number. So if I want to store some floating point numbers, so I am just giving the corresponding variable name. So whatever is the floating point number, I am just mentioning here. Clear with this? So it should end with F. So whenever I want to store any floating point numbers. So I can go for different data types, and if I want to store some character values, so I have to mention this as character. This is the syntax for creating a data type. So how to declare? So I have to prepend the variable with the corresponding data type. I can go for integer data type, I can go for floating point type, string data type, character data type. Say for example, I can go for this character data type. So whichever data type I want, so I have to prepend with the corresponding data type. So all these are the different data types available in Java. If I want to print this at the output, just give this command system.out.println. So if I want to print some floating point numbers, or if I want to print some string values, just click the save button, right click, and there is an option called run file option. Clear with this? So I have to prepend. So this is how. So whenever I want to create any new class, I have to use the class keyword followed by the name of the class, prepended by the corresponding access modifier. And inside this, I am just creating a main method. public static void main. The argument is passed as a string array. Say for example, I want to store the patient ID. What is the name of the patient? So for example, whatever, if I want to store some floating point numbers, character constants. Clear? So all these are the different data types available in Java language. So instead of string variables, if I want to print some integers, so I have to give the corresponding integers. Just right click and run file option. So an integer value will be printed at the output. Clear with this? So all these are the different data types. So based on my requirement, I can go for different types of different identifiers, different data types present in Java. Just take down this exercise. Write a program that concatenates two strings and displays the result to the screen. Just take down this exercise. Write a program that concatenates two strings and displays the result to the screen. If you are interested, you can go to Pantech e-learning and you can register for Java Full Stack Masterclass program, JFSMC. This is the coupon code. Once you register for the internship, you will be getting access to the PPTs, the recorded videos, the project files, how the projects are being developed. You will be gaining more practical knowledge. Once you attend this masterclass for 25 days, you will be receiving a free webinar certificate, and the internship users, they will be receiving an internship certificate as well as a participation certificate. Alright, if you are interested, you can go to Pantech e-learning and you can register for Java Full Stack Masterclass program, JFSMC. This is the coupon code. Once you register for the internship, you will be getting access to the PPTs, the recorded videos, the project files, how the projects are being developed. You will be gaining more practical knowledge. Once you attend this masterclass for 25 days, you will be receiving a free webinar certificate, and the internship users, they will be receiving an internship certificate as well as a participation certificate. Alright. So till this part, whatever I am speaking, everything is clear. So far I just discussed with some core Java concepts. What do you mean by variables? What is the use of data types? What are all the different data types available in Java? And then I was discussing about identifiers. What is the use of identifiers? Next I am going to discuss with you about one more important concept. What do you mean by classes and objects in Java? Hereafter, whatever I am going to speak about this language, I am going to discuss with you about classes and objects. Basically, what do you mean by a class? A class is nothing but a template, a blueprint or a sketch from which many instances of this class can be created. Say for example, whenever I want to build a factory, so I need an outline or a sketch, a template, a plan, whatever you call. So whenever I am building a factory, so what is the total area required, so how many floors it should contain, and what are all the different departments. So whether it is a manufacturing unit or a testing unit or admin unit, so you have different units in a factory. So I should decide. So all this comes under class. So it is nothing but a blueprint, a template or a sketch. And many instances of that type can be created. They are called as objects. So from this picture you can just understand what do you mean by a class and what do you mean by an object. there is a class called person class, and each and every person, so all these are called as the data members and the methods. So he can have a unique ID. So whatever is the ID, name of the person, age, city, gender, and what are all the different behaviors, they are indicated by different methods. He can eat, study, sleep, play. Clear? So all these, the different attributes and member functions. So whenever I am considering any class, it contains the corresponding data members and methods. Each and every person, he can have a unique name, and he can have an age. What is the age of the person? To which city he belongs to? Gender of a person, whether he is male or a female. And a method. So what all the different behaviors, they are indicated by different methods. He can eat, he can study, sleep, play. So what all the different actions a person can do. For example, I am creating a class called car class. So you can imagine, so what do you mean by a class and what do you mean by an object? So pictorially, John is one object and Daisy is one more object. Many instances of that type can be created. So whenever I am considering a person class, so what are all the different attributes a person can contain? He can have a unique name. So what is the age of the person, city, gender? So all this comes under the data members and different behaviors of a person. For example, he can eat, he can study, he can sleep, he can play. So all these are the different methods of a person class. And John is one person and Daisy is one more person. Many instances of that type can be created. Person class can be created. This is one object and this is one more object. Clear? So what are all the different attributes? They come under the data members and the corresponding methods. A person can eat, he can study, he can sleep, he can play. Let me just illustrate. Say for example, I am creating a class called car class. So you can consider any type of class. For example, I am just creating a class called the car class. And inside my car class, so I can have, so what are all the different attributes a car can have? Say for example, whatever is the name of the car. So all this comes under the attributes or the data members. What is the name of the car? And what is the color of the car? You can go for different types of attributes. Clear? So whatever is the brand and some other attributes. And the corresponding methods. What are all the different methods a car class can have? Say for example, a car class, what are all the different things a car can do? So we can just drive a car. Clear? A car can run. So you can see here. So all these are the different methods of a car class. And many instances of that type can be created. Say for example, we have different types of cars. Clear? So this is the example of classes and objects. So basically, what do you mean by a class? It is nothing but a template, an outline or a sketch. For example, I want to construct a factory. I want to construct a temple. So everything is discussed in the form of classes and objects. I have a person class, so he can have some unique ID. So whatever is attributes, data members and the corresponding methods. John is one person. Many instances of the type can be created. The corresponding attributes of the data members, and there are different methods of a person class. A person can eat, he can study, he can sleep, he can play. Clear? So this concept is called as classes and objects. So everything hereafter, whatever I am going to discuss, everything is going to be based on classes and objects. So as I was discussing in my first section, so Java is a object-oriented programming language. Everything is based on classes and objects. So I am going to create a class called person class. Whenever I want to create any new class, I have to use the class keyword followed by the name of the class, prepended by the corresponding access modifier. So I can go for public access modifier, I can go for private access modifier. And inside the person class, so I am just defining some methods. Public void drink method. So what are all the different actions a person can do? A person can drink, a person can eat. So system.out.println within double quotes I am just giving here drinking milk. And I am defining a main method. Public static void main. The argument is passed as a string array, string of space args. So this is how, so whenever I am creating, so hereafter whatever concepts I am going to discuss in Java, everything is going to be based on classes and objects. So this is one important concept in Java. So what do you mean by a class and what do you mean by an object? Whenever I want to create any instance of this class type, so I have to use, for example, I am using the person class. I am defining an object P1 of the class type person. So whenever I want to create any new object, I have to instantiate this object. So I have to use the new keyword followed by the name of the class. And string name equal to within double quotes I am just mentioning here as John. Clear with this? So I am just printing this name at the output, and using this object P1 dot, I have to call the corresponding member method. So whatever method I want to call. So I am just calling this drink method. Clear? So this is one important concept. So hereafter whenever I am going to discuss with you about any of the concepts in Java, so everything is going to be based on classes and objects. So whenever I want to access any of the member variables, so as I was telling you, right, each and every class it is going to have some attributes, data, members and the corresponding methods. So I am just instantiating this person class, person P1 equal to new person of. And using this P1 dot, I am just calling this drink method. So whichever method I want to call, using this object P1 using dot operator, I am just calling this drink method. Clear? So what do you mean by a class and what do you mean by an object? So whenever I want to create any new class, just right click this package. There is an option called new Java class. So I am just creating, so whatever is the name of the class, so I am just creating a person class. Just click the finish button, and inside this public static void main, the argument is passed as a string array, string of space args. Clear with this? And inside this string of space args, so I am just creating a person. For example, I am just creating a person class, public void drink. Say for example, I am just creating here public void, I am just creating a drink method. I am just giving, say for example, system.out.println. For example, I can give some message. I am just mentioning here as drinking milk or drinking something. Drinking milk. Alright, just click the save button. I am trying to create an instance of this class. Person P1 equal to new person of. Alright. And P1 dot, I am just calling this drink method. So whichever method I want to call, so I am just calling this drink method. Just click the save button, right click, and there is an option called run file option. Clear with this example? Whenever I want to create any new class, I have to use the class keyword followed by the name of the class. It is prepended by the corresponding access modifier. So I can go for public access modifier, and inside this I am just creating a drink method, and I am trying to create an object of this class type, person P1 equal to new person of, and P1 dot whichever member functions I want to access using the object created. So I have just created an object of this class type person. Using this object P1 dot, I am just calling this drink method. Whichever member functions I want to call, using dot operator, I have to call the corresponding member functions. Clear with this example? Just take down this exercise. Find the error in the following code. Just take down this exercise. Find the error in the following code. With this, I am just stopping today. If you have any doubts, you can just ask me. If you are interested, you can go to Pantech e-learning and you can register for Java Full Stack Masterclass program, JFSMC. This is the coupon code. Once you register for the internship, you will be getting access to the PPTs, the recorded videos, the project files, how the projects are being developed. You will be gaining more practical knowledge. Once you attend this masterclass for 25 days, you will be receiving a free webinar certificate, and the internship users, they will be receiving an internship certificate as well as a participation certificate. Alright, if you are interested, you can go to Pantech e-learning and you can register for Java Full Stack Masterclass program, JFSMC. This is the coupon code. Once you register for the internship, you will be getting access to the PPTs, the recorded videos, the project files, how the projects are being developed. You will be gaining more practical knowledge. Once you attend this masterclass for 25 days, you will be receiving a free webinar certificate, and the internship users, they will be receiving an internship certificate as well as a participation certificate. Alright. Any doubts? Remaining things we will see tomorrow, same time, same link. Thank you all.